Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and we're doing a special video for this Saturday, which is a very special day in horse racing. It's Pegasus Day at Gulfstream. So I would say that after the Triple Crown races in the Breeders' Cup, in not necessarily in that order, this is probably the next best racing day in horse racing, just because of like the prize pools and things like that. A whole bunch of really good races going on at Gulfstream. And as a result, I think I'm going to go over the card. And again, just a couple of pieces of disclaimers. I mean, one of the reasons why I can go over this card is this is one of the very few cards where it doesn't matter what I tell you, it's not going to affect my price. I mean, there's so much money in the pools today that it's really not a big deal for me. And I'm not going to go over my history with horse racing or anything like that. But suffice to say that of all the things that I kind of have going out there, this is definitely where you're going to get the best edge. However, I mean, it's probably going to be in the long run where you get the edge, but who knows? Uh, we've run really far ahead of expectations when I put these videos out. For those of you that followed the Breeders' Cup, I mean, we pretty much nailed that as easily as we could, and pretty much I shouldn't say every time, but when I do put my picks out here, it seems as though the horse racing gods have really shined upon us. So in any case, let me give you guys just a couple of disclaimers. Again, um, please don't bet anything until there's at the most 5 minutes to post for each race because you want to have, at least get the best idea of what price you're getting. And like everything else in gambling or everything else in life, everything is price sensitive. So I'm going to do my best to preview what I think you should be getting on some of these horses. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're really going to have to make some decisions on your own when it gets closer to post time. Again, I'm going to give you some guidelines, but I can't be there with you, obviously between at 30 seconds to post for each race. And again, if you're not going to bet these races, again, I should say it's probably not a good idea to get into horse racing unless you know what you're doing. But if you are going to bet them anyway, you're definitely going to be better off at least factoring in this analysis. The other thing is that I'm not going to be getting into the nuts and bolts of how I come up with this. I'm really just going to dispense with the whole discussion of sheet theory and sheet theory versus racing form theory and spot checking and all that stuff. So we're just going to go through what I think are the best values. And if you do well, or if you just enjoy this a little bit, this is not what I usually do for my kind of side hustle. We do daily fantasy sports on TrueDFS pretty much every day. And if you like any of this, again, this is not exactly what we do on a regular basis, but please sign up for TrueDFS. We've had some incredible successes in daily fantasy sports recently. Bobby Fi actually won $1 million last week. Not to promise that in the future, but we do know what we're doing over there. Nonetheless, we're just going to go through these races, and the first race is actually 19 minutes. So by the time you get this, probably not going to be able to act on it. And we're just going to go through what I think are the best values. I'll give you some guidelines as to price, but aside from that, you're just kind of this is just the most pure just picks video, right? There is. Okay, so first race here, it is kind of a spread. I do like a couple of sort of long shots. The one, Wacon at 6-1, and then some bombs here. Thorsness, the 8, the 9. I mean, these are really long. Actually, wait a minute. 15 and 16. These guys are scratched. So let me just see. Not going to go through all of this, but yeah, so it's actually going to be the 1, the 2. I don't really like the 6 all that much. The 7 and the 9. Okay, so it's not Thorsness. It's 1, 2, 6, 7, 9. All of them are pretty reasonably priced. So if you want to start off your day losing money, you could play a pick 5. That's probably going to make a lot if it comes in, but it probably won't. All right. In race number 2, I think there are really two tiers in this race. The 6, 7 are very, very short. They're really no value. But if you didn't want to do that, you could just go all in this race, just to try to get yourself exposure to some other combinations. But I do think that, if I'm going to be honest, and I think this is a race you should probably pass. Race number 3. it's again, I have kind of two tiers here. I think full Nelson to six is clearly the best, but you have to be very careful about his price. I mean, if he gets slammed to say like 3 to 1, I probably wouldn't bet him. But at 9 to 2 morning line, I think it's perfectly reasonable. And then after that, there's horses underneath that I think can do stuff. And it's almost going to be all like the 1, the 2, the 8, the 9, the 10, and the 12, even native land. So I guess if you really wanted to get frisky, maybe you could play full Nelson with native land as an exacta. That would pay like billions. Okay, so that's actually not bad. Okay, there are going to be much better plays through, down the card, but I figured I will just kind of go through every race anyway. Race four, I think there's a pretty decent value tier here between with the two Dreaming of Mo, the six Sunbeam, and the nine Charlie's Wish. I don't find those three horses to be any worse than the favorites, and yet they're going to be much longer price. So if you wanted to key those, the two, the six, and the nine, that would be a good idea. And again, like if you wanted to play pick fives with everybody that I mentioned in the previous races, like what was it, like 1, 2, 6, 7, 9, race one, maybe the 6, 7 in race two, or maybe even all. And then you could just use the six in race three, that full Nelson, or maybe go more in that other tier. And then in race number four, uh, then you could get into this other tier, like just 2, 6, 9. And then you finish off the early pick five. Again, I don't think you'll get here in time, but maybe pick four as you'll still be live here. You'll still be okay to bet. In race number five, again, kind of two tiers here. The nine, no balls is definitely the most likely winner, but I think he's going to be a little bit too short. Like if you actually get 7 to 2 on him, I think it's a pretty decent single, but I think he's going to get pounded here. And aside from that, though, it's almost a wheel, So I, what you could do, like once you lose races one, two, and three, which you're probably going to do, you can start stuff off again with 2, 6, 9 in race four, and then even go all in race five and like pick threes, pick fours, and whatever else. Um, just in case the nine doesn't win, you have access to all these underdogs, all of whom could win if in fact the nine doesn't show up. Okay, there are 13 races, by the way, today. Race six, I think is a decent value tier here with four horses. The two, Emmanuel, the three, Stanley House, the five, Classic Motown, and the 11, Jerry, Jerry the Nipper here. So I do like all of those. Again, what I do is just keep on rolling your stuff. So once you die in like a previous race, then you can kind of start new ones. So if you're still live going into race six with any of your race four, race five stuff, then just kind of let it roll. But if you're already dead, then just kind of restart stuff with 2, 3, 5, and 11. Either pick threes, doubles, pick fours, I mean, whatever your risk tolerance is, really. Race number seven. This is actually pretty interesting. So there are two horses. There's one horse that's pretty good. I mean, the three Chop Chop is definitely the most likely winner. But I think the 11 Queen Regent is very, very interesting at 12 to 1. I think it's a very, very legitimate kind of second best horse here. But without getting too much into it, it's not so much the second best horse because it's very likely that it could run out and run like last. But I think it definitely has upside to win, where some of the other horses here just are kind of consistently going to run just second and third to Chop Chop, so to speak. Um, and the other one I'll throw in there, I mean, again, just for funsies, the seven later Lady Firefoot is 50 to 1. Now I'm not saying he's going to win or she's going to win, but I will say this: I think that she wins it about at least 7% of the time, maybe. So I mean, if you're getting 15 to 1 on that, I think it's good value, and 50 to 1, I think it's extremely good value. So you really want to get frisky, you can play like an exacta box with maybe 3, 7, and 11. And if you get this right, I mean, this could pay like a ton. Okay, race number eight. Race number eight. It's pretty good horses here. 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7. I think they're all pretty reasonable. The six is the longest price, but the seven upstanding I think is very, very solid. Like if you get actually 5 to 1 on this, I think this is probably worth singling. But otherwise, again, I would probably spread here 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. Now, again, just because I'm giving you instant coffee as one of the horses doesn't mean I think it's necessarily a great price at 15 to 1, but he's certainly a decent price at 15 to 1. So 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, I would play here, or just key the 7. Okay, race number 9. Um, so race number 9, I think the 11 is kind of a lock. Now again, it's not so easy to win at a mile and a half from the 11 hole. You're going to be wide at least 2 turns, maybe 3. So he's going to have to run like much better than he will look on the track, to win here. So it's not that easy, but he's certainly the most likely winner. But if you want another horse to kind of just, catch a hoodoo here, you have the 8 in Yamato. So, and he's 15 to 1. So if you want to play both of them, like you box the 8-11, or if you want to be really forget frisky and just play the 8, I mean, you're not going to win all that often, but you're going to win more often than his odds. Let's just say that. So anything over 10 to 1 on the Yamato, I think is reasonable. And then race number 10. I think that the two most likely winners are pretty clearly the 3 Be Your Best and the 10 Sacred Wish. Um, I don't know what kind of price you're going to get because Fluffy Socks here was a short price and he scratched. So that money's got to go somewhere. Probably going to go to some degree to the 3 and the 10. And then if you want to throw a couple of just kind of wild horses to get into exactas and trifectas, the 13 and the 14 are just perfectly reasonable long shots. Like I think they should both be 10 to 1, but they're really getting 20 to 30. I don't think they can, I don't say they can win. They certainly can win, but I think that if you play the 3 and the 10 on top, you could play like the 13 and 14 in exactas and trifectas and maybe again catch a pretty monstrous price. Okay, race 11, really no value at all. I don't know why all these horses scratched. So I would pass this or just go 4, 7, 8, 9 and just kind of survive to the next race. Okay, so race number 12, I think is one of the best bets of the day, which is fortunate because it's one of the top races of the day. And I actually think that two of the top plays are probably, I shouldn't say that. I was about to say that in the main event there, in the Pegasus, which we're going to get to in a second. I was about to say that's probably the best value. No, I think this race is actually. I think the 3, Mi Hermano Ramon, is at 8 to 1. Is probably the best bet of the day. Now, again, that presumes you get 8 to 1. I mean, if you get to like 5 to 1, it's probably not so great. And if you get 20 to 1, it's like an amazing play. But based on these odds, I think 8 to 1 is way too much. And then if you want another one, the 4 Win for the Money is, I think, second best value. Not of the day, but of this race. So I think Mi Hermano Ramon and Win the Money are both very live to be used in all your exotics. Okay, and then in race 13, which is the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. This is kind of the main event of the day. Was it 3 million in the prize in the purse? Mystic Dan is the one who won, I think, the Derby last year. I don't really like him too much, even though he's 8 to 1. The horse that's the most likely winner is going to be Saudi Crown at 9 to 2. I don't think that, I think 9 to 2 would be fair on him, but I don't think it's like anything great. Where I think that the real value is in this race, there's a couple of places. The 10 Skippy Longstocking, I think, is extremely strong. Again, it's going to be tough to win from out here, but I still think that he's strong. I think Mixto the 1 is pretty strong. And then I go back and forth on this, but as long as you're going to play long shots anyway, I think the Stronghold you should kind of throw in. I'm kind of concerned that his best number, which he's coming off, is from a sprint, but what can I tell you? 10 to 1 is it's fine. And then the 11 locked looks very good, but it's just too short. I mean, I would play the 2 over the 11 at these prices. So in this main event, I would play the 2 as the chalk piece, but I would also play 1, 10, and guess the 6. 6 I go back and forth on. So yeah, let's recommend that. Let's go 1, 2, 6, 10 as the top plays in this race. So that's pretty much all I have. Again, I just blasted through, just kind of shared you what what I like here. And again, if you want to, I don't say pay me back, whatever it is, I do encourage you to check out TrueDFS. In addition to that, by the way, if you did bet on XB Select, you didn't have an account already, you can register with a I think a bonus code or like a discount code. If you use TrueDFS, TrueDFS, I think you might get something for that. Again, I haven't checked on it in a long time, but this is where I bet. I've been betting here for what, 20 years or something. Um, but that's pretty much it. If you were, if you want to degen the races, you're better off with what I told you than not. If you weren't going to play anyway, I do not encourage you to get into horse racing betting. It's very, very hard. But if so, you certainly are going to do better using my stuff than anybody else's. That will do it. Good luck and have a good weekend.